Hi, I'm Jennifer Schlickburn, the game pioneer from Game Brain Podcast. Today I want to talk about how I got into the hobby and kind of the early days of my experiences with Euro games. I don't know, I guess it must have been 81 or 82, I had gotten a Radio Shack TRS-80 computer, and I would play games. I mean, it would take like half an hour to load in these horrible, as far as graphics goes, at least games, but it didn't matter, I wanted to play a game. So there was a magazine called Computer Gaming World. And in that, one of the issues, they talked about CompuServe, which was at that time, a very early online service. It kind of like, let's say, pre-Reddit. They had all these different forums and stuff. And in the magazine, they also mentioned that this board game called Diplomacy was played on CompuServe. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go buy at the time, I think my first modem was like 100 baud, which, it's so slow, you couldn't even conceive of how slow that modem was. I can remember when everybody was just so excited when that 300 baud modem came out. Man, it cost a fortune, but we didn't care. We're going to get us, 3 times the speed. Woo! Gosh, those were really the days. So I get on, and there's this guy, who's running the diplomacy games named Ken Hill, who is currently the project manager for Rio Grande Games. That's how long I've known Ken. It's been forever. Me and him, boy, we searched every inch of this earth looking for Euro games that were translated in English and that would ship to the U.S. Those were really the days. So on CompuServe, I'm playing several diplomacy games, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here trying to stay in the game, which is what I think most people are trying to do in diplomacy, if you really think about it. Well, on CompuServe, the woman who ran the games forum was a local woman. She was an attorney from Long Beach, and she would occasionally post about these cons. And so, she posted about GlassCon, which was at the time in Northridge, California. And, I'm from LA, and I'm talking about the LA area, just to be clear. And so I said, and they're going to have a diplomacy tournament. So I said, okay, great. I'll go and, play diplomacy. I'm the only woman there. I'm the only black person there. Everybody else there are white guys, right? And they were fine. They were beautiful men. Everybody treated me just like anybody else. I had no issues. I had no, misogyny or racism or anything. And in fact, I ended up getting eliminated out of the diplomacy tournament fairly early. And so we started playing this Steve Jackson game called Nuclear War, which folks, we literally played for, I don't know, it had to be at least 18 hours. I wouldn't think of playing that game today, but hey, at the time, in the moment, it was fun. So, I stay up all night long and all day the next day. And this one guy let me crash on his couch, and he never bothered me or anything. It was a wonderful time. Really had a great time. And that was my first con. And it was kind of funny because, the guy that let me crash was like, oh man, there's this guy. He's selling an English version of Kingmaker. And I'm really hoping I can get it. And he got it. And it turns out the person that was selling it was going to end up being my husband, right? But I didn't meet him at that con. It was just really funny. So then there was Orcon in Pasadena, and that's where I met my my husband Bruce and his friends Mike, Eric, and Tom. And we formed a gaming group and we played, all kinds of games, 1830 all the time, Empire Builder, the different Empire Builder maps, Illuminati, Acquire. Gosh, did we play a ton of Acquire. I mean, it was like every Friday night we played Acquire. It didn't matter, which is why I'm completely burnt out on the game now. I mean, a lot of people are still discovering it. It's still a classic Sid Sackson game. There are two camps, though. There, the camp that play with the stocks open and the camp that play with the stocks closed. Well, if you know anything about me, I'm a once seen, always seen player. So we always played with the stocks open. It was, we had way more time, but man, I feel like I'm a bot with that game. I kind of graduated away from the diplomacy once I found this gaming group and the cons. Everybody's playing Civilization. Oh, well, what is this? What's Civilization? And I'm like, wow, this is a great game. Hey, even though the original played for at least 12 hours. But that's not a problem. I'm not married at the time. I don't have any kids. I think I would have, let's see, we're looking at 82. So I'm just beginning to work at JPL. And it's not, I don't like to work overtime. So all I had on the weekends, 12 hours is fine, right? So, ever since then, I don't know that I've ever missed a con since '83. I'm a big con lover because I get to meet all my friends and meet new people and see all the new games and see the miniatures and see what's popular in open gaming and the tournaments and everything. I'm definitely a con lady. Then about that time also, I met someone through another Eurogamer who got me an invitation to the gathering. So I'm really sure I was at the fourth gathering, which at the time it was so great because, Alan R. Moon, puts on the gathering every year. And at the time he was able to get, a lot of the Euro games translated from Europe. So going to the gathering, man, I got to see all of his stuff. At the time, the LA Con, the guy running it was refusing to allow us to play any pure Euros. Civ was fine because that was kind of a war game and diplomacy was kind of a war game, but hey, if it wasn't about attacking, he wouldn't let us play it. So being able to go to the gathering and play these pure Euros like Settlers of Catan was a real treat. I went, for some time, but I don't go anymore because it's a lot of money, frankly, and I can play all the Euros that I want right here in LA. So, they're still going, and I have friends who are going, and they really enjoy it, but it's not for me anymore. So, I've been there since the beginning, while seeing the hobby evolve and Rio Grande Games. Jay coming out of Mayfair, who was an early, along with Avalon Hill, Mayfair was an early adopter of Euro games, and Jay brought them over from Europe in his company, Rio Grande Games, and they brought Puerto Rico, which I know now is kind of, but at the time was considered a wow, look at this. We can't believe it. And all people played was Puerto Rico for like a year. It was amazing. And then, more companies entered the hobby as the games, the availability and the accessibility of the games grew the hobby, It's no longer about Monopoly and saying, well, gee, when am I going to, land on Park Place that has four houses and go bankrupt. It's now about being in the game until the very end of the game, about being kind and about maybe even co-op and helping people. You know, the hobby has changed so much. And for me, it's all for the better, you know, and online there's Game Nerds and Miniature Market and Cool Stuff Inc. and all of those companies. I mean, back in the day, it was just Fun Again, right? And Game Surplus. Now, Game Surplus has gone out of business since then. And Fun Again is kind of, you know, not mentioned very much, if at all, on BGG or on Reddit. So, you know, they've kind of faded to the background. But yeah, you know, oh, and of course BGG. I mean, geez, it's such a great place. You know, I can find out about all of these things. People write great stuff and it's all free. You know, just really, really happy about where the hobby is now. So at the end, I have to say, I do apologize for the audio. The audio is going to get better, but it just couldn't get better today because I feel like I'm really late as it is. I have more games that I'm going to be talking about, especially Free Ride from Friedman Freeze. More back in the day gaming, and I'm going to be talking about Boon Lake. I'll be doing a video on that. I'll be doing a video on Bitoku when it gets here. Should be here in a couple of weeks. I should be doing a video on Gollum and also on Ark Nova, maybe on Messina. It really is going to depend on some other stuff, but maybe. So at any rate, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.